Hi guys, my name is Samantha and I am here to teach you 5 exercises to help with your middle splits. The first exercise we're going to do, you're going to come into a squat, and it's going to be a wide squat. I'm going to start with my feet at about 45 degrees, right? So I'm not parallel feet, I'm not turned all the way out. From there, I'm squeezing my side butt, and I'm trying to keep my knees pulling back as I drop my hips. So another thing alone, my chest is up, so I'm not forward. I'm up. I'm trying to stack my shoulders above my hips. So if you're here and your knees are just like they're caving in, I want you to move your feet a little bit closer to parallel, and that's where you're gonna work. So again, find your feet position. You're gonna squat down. And after about 5 of these, you're going to hold at the bottom, and then you're going to pulse your knees back. So you're really squeezing that side butt, trying to open up even more. After about 5 of those, you're going to hold in that widest position, holding for 5 seconds before coming up. And I recommend doing about 5 sets of those to help get all this warming up. So, our second exercise, you are going to come down onto the floor. Feet are going to be in front of you. Actually, I'm going to have to scoot to the front of my mat so I can open up. But what you're going to do, you're going to rotate your heels to face each other. So you're again squeezing that side butt to get that rotation. And then you're going to open up as wide as you can before coming back. So you reset, roll those heels to face each other, knees rolling out, squeezing, opening up as wide as you can. Good. I recommend doing about 10, 20 of these to really get that muscle going. Good. So the third exercise we're going to do, you're going to find your straddle position. It doesn't need to be a straight line. If you get to a straight line, I would actually recommend, if you have that flexibility, to bring your feet in and to add blocks underneath your heels. But under the heel. And then both of them. So what you're going to do, you're going to come forward. So when you're coming forward, it's all about the hips, right? So I'm keeping my core engaged, my back nice and long as I come forward and then back up. Trying not to use my hands. So when I roll, my knees are going to roll in just a little bit towards the center. That's okay. We want to make sure that they're still facing vaguely towards the ceiling. You're still squeezing your side butt as you're coming down. So if you can't go very far, or if you find that you're kind of rounding, I want you to modify slightly. So I'm keeping a nice straight back, both up and down. But if you're finding a hard time with that hip movement, what I want you to do, even if you're here, is when you get as low as you can, you're going to look up and you're going to come up chest first and kind of arch back. So as you're arching back, it'll kind of roll your hips forward. So you'll get a better feel for this motion, right? So rolling up, my hips tilt forward. Good. And I would recommend doing 10 of these. All right. Our fourth exercise is going to be frog. So called because, you kind of look like a frog. So what you're going to do, I like to have blocks underneath my knees on these. Doesn't matter what flexibility level you're at, blocks help. If you're super flexible, it makes it a little more, you get a little more room. If you're not, then it's nicer on your knees because you have a little more wiggle room. So, knee's going to go on. My ankle is behind that knee. You can point, you can flex, whatever feels good. I tend to flex, but that's just because everything else is going to be at 90 degrees, so I just kind of put my foot there. And your other knee is also going on the block. So, right now I'm kind of arching my back right so I can look up and talk at you. What I want to do is engage my core and slightly tuck the tailbone under. So we're going for kind of a neutral spine. So not super arched, not super duper tucked under. In terms of the sideline, I like to think more about the knee kind of lining up with the hip socket. So I don't like to go base off of my thigh. It's all about knee and hip. So from here, I'm going to come down, engaging my core, and I'm hanging out. So I like to hold for maybe about like 15 seconds at first just to kind of get a feel for this line. And then I like to bring my hips forward and back. And the entire time I'm thinking about engaging my core, trying not to move my hips all about, right? So just moving back and forth, kind of opening up some space in the hips. And I would recommend, you can hang out in frog for a pretty long time. I would recommend rocking maybe about a minute after you've kind of finished your initial hold. And then you can finish up with another 15-second hold in your frog line. Alright, so the last exercise we're going to do is half frog. It's half frog, half middle split, so it's going to get a little bit more intense on the inner thigh. And this is where there is potential to start feeling knee pain. If you feel knee pain, don't push it. Come see me. We can definitely help on that front, but if you're feeling knee pain, there's definitely something wrong with either your alignment or your engagement. So don't keep pushing into knee joint pain. You should feel the stretch inner thigh. So, we're gonna have a block again. It could be a block, pillow, you know, rolled up yoga mat, just something to add a little bit of height underneath that knee. So, I'm here. I'm gonna take my other foot out, and I like to line that ankle up with my hip, the front of the hip. So from there, I'm gonna push that foot out. And even as I'm going, I'm squeezing the side bone, right? So right now, I'll just kind of twerk it for you, but you wanna keep that engagement, right? So you wanna hold. Again, right now I'm arching, you wanna keep that core engagement. And if you can, coming on to your forearms. So I'm squeezing that side butt, my quad is engaged, and I'm stretching. So from here, I would hold anywhere between 30 seconds and a minute. Start on the lighter end at 30 seconds if you're not familiar with this stretch and the engagement. And those are 5 stretches to help you with your middle splits. If you're newer to middle splits, I recommend doing them up against a wall, but I recommend having blocks or something to create space between your heel and the wall. If your heel is directly on the wall and your butt is on the wall, you're a little bit too far forward for that middle split line. So you can play with the blocks and kind of figure out where you need to be. I kind of like to put the blocks this way on the wall. So from there, what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring my hands down, my feet up against the blocks, and I'm going to come down, trying to push my butt to the wall. Yeah? So that is going to get me my middle split line. If you're new to middle splits as well, I do recommend if you're wearing socks and you're on a slippery floor to take one sock off so you have a foot that can act as a stopper. So that way both feet don't go wee and then, you know, you fear for your life. So those are my tips for working middle splits against the wall. if you're newer to middle splits. All right. And I'm gonna show you how I like to get into my middle split.